Good morning. Today we are going to discuss about partially prestressed concrete members. Concrete members can be designed in two ways. One is RCC and the second one is PSC, that is the prestressed concrete member. In RCC design, that is the reinforced concrete design, along with concrete, we are using untensioned reinforcement. At the same time, in prestressed concrete members, along with concrete, we are using pre-stressing steel. The untensioned reinforcement which is used for RCC is having a strength around 650 Newton per millimeter square. But in pre-stressed concrete, the pre-stressing steel is the high tension steel where it is having a strength of around 2100 Newton per millimeter square. Both the steels are having its own merits and demerits. The steel, the untensioned steel which is used in RCC is a passive reinforcement. Why it is passive? Because that reinforcement in RCC will come into picture only after the cracking of concrete. Till that, actually it is sleeping. But in pre-stressed concrete, immediately after the transfer of pre-stressing force to concrete, it is active. It is maintaining the initially induced compressive stress in concrete to counteract the tension due to external loads. But each steel is having its own merits and demerits with respect to the influence on cracking, quantity of steel, and economical design. With respect to the influence on cracking, earlier I told you that the untensioned reinforcement which is used in reinforced cement concrete is actually sleeping till the occurrence of the first crack. So, for controlling the crack, the passive reinforcement doesn't have any role. But once the crack is developed, it is sidelining the concrete in the tension zone and taking the full control, and is controlling the width of the crack, and also it is controlling the length of the crack. So the spacing of the crack, the width of the crack, etc. is controlled by the reinforcement steel. But in the case of pre-stressing steel, it can prevent or delay the cracking of concrete. How it is preventing means, initially it is inducing a compressive stress, and the tensile stress because of the external load. If that load, if the tensile stress because of the external load is less than the initially induced compressive stress, actually there is no crack. Or if it is increasing, as the external load is increasing, the tensile stress also will be increased. And when the tensile stress exceeds the initially induced compressive stress, then the bottom fiber of the member will be inducing a tensile stress. When that tensile stress is exceeding the tensile stress in the concrete, cracks will occur. So accordingly we can say that the pre-stressed steel can delay the cracking of concrete. So it is either preventing or delaying the cracking of concrete, but once the cracking is occurred, it doesn't have any role. It cannot control the width of the crack, also the spacing of the cracks, it cannot control. That is the role of the reinforcing steel and the pre-stressing steel with respect to cracking. Now with respect to excess of steel, reinforcement steel that is used in RCC, any quantity of steel can be used provided it is not affecting the placement and compaction of concrete. Otherwise we can use any quantity of steel, but it doesn't have any harmful effect. At the same time, in pre-stressing steel, the excess of pre-stressing steel is harmful. And it may be safe because the pre-stressing steel is inducing a compressive stress. And by increasing large quantity of steel, it can increase the initially induced compressive stress. At the same time, though it is increasing the stress, we know that at the time of transfer of pre-stressing force, we are inducing maximum compressive stress at the bottom fiber, and the top fiber is in tension. if the initially induced compressive stress is more, there is a danger of camber. So, in the point of view of deformation, it is harmful, but in the point of view of stress, it is beneficial also. So, it may lead to unacceptable camber, and again the stress at certain sections, that is at the point in between the support for a continuous beam, in between the support and the midspan section, we can know that the stresses are changing. It's a sign of the stresses from compression to tension. So at that particular point, the minimum may be 0. At those critical sections, if the excess of pre-stressing steel is there, the excess stress may be dangerous. So that is with respect to the excess of steel. Then again, with respect to economy, the pre-stressing steel, we know that the pre-stressing steel is costlier than reinforcing steel. In RCC, even though the quantity of steel is more, the cost is less. So RCC is always economical compared to the pre-stressed concrete. Then our aim is how to come to a proper combination in the design of a member. So we have to take a decision, that is a judicious combination of the active pre-stressing force and the passive resistance of reinforcing steel. That is to be done. So that is the most economical one, and that is what is called a pre-stressed concrete member. As we know, there are a number of types of members. That is type 1, type 2, type 3, and type 4. Type 1 member means the stress will be the bottom fiber stress. After the application of the external load, the bottom fiber stress will be either 0 or compressive. The cross section is fully compressive, and that is type 1 member. In type 2 member, the bottom fiber stress should be equal to 0. That is type 2. And type 3, the bottom fiber, there is a tension, but that tensile stress is within the permissible limit. That is below or up to the tensile strength of concrete. And type 4 member, that is actually RCC, reinforced cement concrete. Now the partially pre-stressed member is a combination of type 1, type 2, and type 4. It is compressive, and again, if tension is allowed, up to a certain limit, tension is allowed, and at the same time, untensioned reinforcement that is also used. So, in service load resistant mechanism, it is exploiting the advantages of both RCC and PSC. And the challenge in the design is the best combination of the pre-stressed steel and the untensioned steel, and that is to be done in partially pre-stressed concrete. And again, we are visualizing it as a composite member. And these are the situations where partially pre-stressing can be adopted. That is in the situation where not tension under service load. Under service load, the member is not subjected to any tensile stress. In that situation, we can adopt this partially pre-stressed concrete member. Again, the tension and cracks under extreme service loads. Under tension is there, and that also is under extreme service load. And again, if that extreme service load is momentary, just for a time, and immediately after that, it is passed by, and immediately after that, the beam will come back to its original position, and the deformation will come back to its original one. And in that case also, this partial pre-stressing is advantageous. And there are two ways for achieving the partial pre-stressing, and they are the pre-stressed steels are stressed up to a certain limit only. We are not stressing it up to its full capacity. Usually, the pre-stressing force is applied to a value equal to 60% of FPU, where FPU is the ultimate strength of pre-stressing steel. Only up to 60% we are applying the stress. That is the usual practice. Instead of that, we are applying only 40% of that strength. And for the balance, we can provide untensioned steel. That is one way of achieving this partial pre-stressing. And the second one is the pre-stressing steels are fully stressed, and that will take care of a portion of the external load. And for the balance one, we can provide untensioned steel. So these are the two ways for achieving partial pre-stressing. Now, this partial pre-stressing, we can define like this. When the level of pre-stressing is such that under tensile stresses due to service loads, the crack width is within the allowable limit. It is called a partial pre-stressing, also called a type 3 member. We are allowing tension. Though we are allowing tension, that tension should be within the permissible limit. Again, it can be defined as the degree of pre-stress applied to concrete in which the tensile stress to a certain limit are permitted in concrete under working loads. These are the two definitions given to partial pre-stressing, and these are the advantages. The first advantage is it controls maximum width of cracks. Already we have seen that in RCC, the untensioned reinforcement will come into picture after the concrete cracks. Once it is cracked, it has a major role in controlling the spacing of the crack and the width of the crack. In partially pre-stressed members, since we are using untensioned reinforcement, it will control the width and the spacing of cracks. And so it is reducing the spacing, and therefore the crack width also is reduced. So that is the first one, which controls the maximum width of cracks. That's the first advantage. And the second one is, since we are using untensioned reinforcement, it is effective in resisting differential shrinkage, temperature effects, and handling stresses. Because of temperature stresses will be induced, and the stresses are mostly it is peripheral. And only if you are providing reinforcement on the periphery of the member, those stresses will be taken care of. If it is fully pre-stressed one, the pre-stressed steels we are providing usually at the center, or at a certain eccentricity from the center. At the periphery there is no reinforcement. So since it is a partial pre-stressing one, and since untensioned reinforcements are there on the periphery, it is effective in resisting temperature, again the differential shrinkage, and because of the stresses induced by handling also can be taken care of by providing untensioned reinforcement. So that is the second advantage of partially pre-stressed members. And again, the camber, the serviceability limit states, that is also satisfied. That is the camber. The deformation, etc., can be controlled because of the use of this untensioned reinforcement. And the cost also can be reduced in partial pre-stress. Since we are using untensioned reinforcement, the total cost can be reduced to a value up to a certain 30%. And it is ductile because of the usage of untensioned reinforcement compared to a fully pre-stressed one. That is using only pre-stressing wires. We can see that the partially pre-stressed one members are ductile. And the excessive upward deflection, it is also called a camber, can be reduced. And the long-term camber, because of creep of concrete, because circular camber means, a creep means the change in dimensions because of a constant load. Heavy pre-stressing forces are there, it will be there for long, and because of that creep will be there. And that creep effect can be reduced because since it is partially pre-stressed one, the quantity of steel is less compared to a fully pre-stressed one, and because of that the long-term camber also can be reduced. Then again, a stress up to 5 Newton per millimeter square can be induced by the use of this untensioned reinforcement. These are the advantages of partial pre-stressing. Now we can see the application. It is having a very wide application. This partial pre-stressing can be used in large diameter concrete pipes. Again, it can be used in railway sleepers, in electric power transmission poles. All the poles are designed as a partially pre-stressed one. And for water tank, especially the circular water tanks, its use is very advantageous because water tanks, the purpose of the water tank is to store water. And if cracks are there, leak will be there, and the purpose won't be served. Since if it is a fully pre-stressed one, only compressive stresses are there. And as a partial pre-stressed body, the untensioned reinforcement also can be used. At the same time, we can make sure that there is no tension in concrete. And therefore, if we are using partial pre-stressing for water tank, it is economical also. And again, for piles, at the time of, by transporting it, there are chances are there for inducing stresses. That stresses can be reduced by using the untensioned reinforcements in piles. So for the construction of piles also, we can use this. So these are the applications of partial pre-stressing. Then we are designing these partially pre-stressed members to resist the external loads. While applying the external loads, a part of the external loads are resisted by pre-stressing wires, and the other part is resisted by the untensioned reinforcement. The extent of partial pre-stressing depends on the manner in which the applied moment is resisted by the pre-stressing steel and the reinforcing steel. And to quantify or to measure the extent of partial pre-stressing, some definitions are given. So from that definition, we can measure the extent of partial pre-stressing, and those definitions are: one is pre-stressing index. This pre-stressing index means it is the ratio of ultimate strength of pre-stressing steel to the ultimate strength of total steel in the tension zone. In the tension zone, pre-stressing steel, in addition to pre-stressing steel, untensioned reinforcements are also there. So we can calculate the ultimate strength of the steel provided in the tension zone. Then the ratio of the ultimate strength of pre-stressing steel to the total ultimate strength, that is what is called a pre-stressing index. And the second one is partial pre-stressing ratio. Partial pre-stressing ratio is the ratio of MUP divided by MU, where MUP is the ultimate moment capacity corresponding to pre-stressing steel only, and MU is the ultimate moment capacity due to total tension reinforcement. So that ratio is called a partial pre-stressing ratio, that is MUP divided by MU. And the third definition is degree of pre-stress. The degree of pre-stress is the ratio of MDC divided by MW, where MDC is the decompression moment and MW is the service load moment. Then what is decompression moment? Decompression moment means if we are taking a pre-stress, this is a pre-stressed concrete member subjected to a pre-stressing force that is at an eccentricity E. And in this pre-stressed concrete member, if you are calculating the bottom fiber stressor, that will be equal to P by A, that is the direct stress because of pre-stressing force, then plus the stress due to the eccentricity. Because of the eccentricity, there is a moment, that is P into E, that will induce a stress at the bottom that is equal to M divided by Z, that is P into E divided by Z. Therefore, the total stress which is compressive at the bottom fiber of the beam is P by A plus P into E divided by Z. Z is ZB because we are considering the bottom fiber. And that is the initially induced compressive stress at the bottom of the beam. Then we are applying the external load. Because of the external load, tension will be induced at the bottom fiber. As the external load is increased, the tensile stress is also increasing. At a certain point, the stress at the bottom fiber is equal to 0. That is, the initially induced compressive stress is balanced by the tensile stress induced by the external load. Then the quantity of moment or the external load which is required to produce zero stress at the bottom fiber, that is the decompression moment. That is the quantity of moment or the moment corresponding to the load to produce zero stress at the bottom fiber of the beam member, that is called a decompression moment. So we can write it as this is the bottom fiber stress P by A plus P in D by Z. Then for sigma B, for bottom fiber stress equal to 0, that is this one plus this one, this is a total moment, this is a total moment. Now we are equating this to 0. And for that, there is an external moment that is required is MDC. Therefore, PBA plus P into E divided by ZB is equal to MDC divided by ZB. Then MDC is equal to this quantity multiplied with the ZB. Then this MDC, that is called a decompression moment. That is, it is the applied moment that causes the stress at the extreme bottom fiber section as 0. That is the decompression moment. Now, that decompression moment, that is the ratio of that decompression moment to the service load moment. That is called the degree of pre-stress. These are the three definitions. Now, we can come to see a problem for the calculation of these values. The problem is a partially pre-stressed concrete beam, as shown in figure, is pre-stressed with pre-stressed steel of area 1260 millimeter square, located at 250 millimeter from the bottom fiber. The area of untensioned steel provided is 960 millimeter square at a cover of 100 millimeter from the soffit of the beam. The effective stress of the pre-stressed steel is 1000 Newton per millimeter square, and the ultimate stress is 1500 Newton per millimeter square. The yield stress of the untensioned reinforcement is 450 Newton per millimeter square. The service load moment to be resisted by the beam is 750 kilonewton meter. The center of compression is at a distance of 75 millimeter from the top of the beam. Calculate the values of pre-stressing index, partial pre-stressing ratio, and the degree of pre-stress. The stress in pre-stressing steel at ultimate moment is 1420 Newton per millimeter square, and this is the beam given. This beam is having a total depth of 1 meter, and these are the dimensions. It's a symmetrical beam, symmetrical I section. Now we can see how to solve this problem. These are the data given. Area of pre-stressed steel is equal to 1260, and the area of untensioned steel is 960 millimeter square. The effective pre-stress is 1000. Ultimate stress of pre-stressed steel is 1500 Newton per millimeter square. Yield stress of untensioned reinforcement Fy, that's equal to 450 Newton per millimeter square. Service load moment is 750 kilonewton meter, and the stress in pre-stressed steel at the ultimate moment, that is equal to 1420 Newton per millimeter square. We have to calculate the pre-stressing index first, then the partial pre-stressing and the degree of pre-stress. And for the calculation of the pre-stressing index, this is the ratio. That is, pre-stressing index is equal to APFPU divided by APFPU plus ASFI, where APFPU is the ultimate strength of pre-stressed steel only, and that is equal to the area into stress, the ultimate force. That is area into stress. So area AP is given as 1220, 260, and the stress at ultimate load, that is given as 1500. So 1260 into 1500 is equal to the ultimate strength of pre-stressed steel. That divided by the total strength, pre-stressed steel plus untensioned steel. For the pre-stressed steel, it is same, that is 1260 into 1500 plus for untensioned reinforcement, the area is 960 and the strength, the yield strength is equal to 450. So this partial pre-stressing index is equal to 0.826. Simply, very easily we can calculate the definition, that is these values. The pre-stressing index is equal to 0.826. Now we can see the partial pre-stressing ratio. That is the ratio of MUP divided by MU. MUP is the ultimate moment capacity corresponding to pre-stressing force, pre-stressing steel only, and MU is the combining the pre-stressing steel and the untensioned reinforcement, and MU moment is equal to force into lever arm. The force is equal to area into stress. That multiplied with the lever arm. Lever arm means the distance from the center, of the pre-stressed steel to the center of compression. In the problem, it is given that the center of compression is at a distance of 75 millimeter from the top fiber, and the effective depth is equal to the total depth is equal to 1 meter. From 1 meter, the cover to the pre-stressed steel from the bottom is 250. So 1000 minus 250 is equal to 750 millimeter, And from that 750 millimeter, the top cover is, that is the top cover is given as 75 millimeter. So 750 minus 75 is the lever arm for pre-stressing steel. Similarly, for the untensioned reinforcement, the effective depth is 900 minus the center of compression is 75 millimeter, that is 825 millimeter. Therefore, the ultimate moment capacity corresponding to pre-stressing steel alone is equal to the force 1260 into 1420, and here it is given that the stress at failure is equal to 1420. So we are taking the stress as 1420, that multiplied with the lever arm is equal to 675 is 1207 kilonewton meter. Then mu is the combination of pre-stressing steel and the untensioned steel. For untensioned steel, the moment is equal to force into lever arm. The force is equal to 960 into 450. The total force that multiplied with the lever arm for untensioned steel is 824, that is this one, is equal to 328 kilonewton meter. Now, the total ultimate moment capacity due to total tension reinforcement, that is the pre-stressing steel plus the untensioned reinforcement is equal to 1207 plus 328 is equal to 1535. Therefore, the partial pre-stressing ratio is equal to MUP. MUP is equal to 1207 divided by MU. MU is equal to the combination of this one, that is equal to 1535 is equal to 0.786. That is the partial pre-stressing ratio. Then there is one more ratio, that is the degree of pre-stress. That is equal to MDC divided by MW. MW is the service load moment that is given. That's given as 750. Now we have to calculate MDC. MDC means the moment corresponding to zero stress at the bottom fiber. And for the calculation of that, we are in need of the area of the section is 42 into, that we can calculate. The moment of inertia also we can calculate. Effective pre-stressing force is, this is the, that is the area into stress. Then the service load moment is given. Eccentricity of the pre-stressing force is equal to 500 minus 250 is 250 millimeter. Then the bottom fiber stress, that is equal to P by A plus P into E by ZB. That's P by A plus P into E divided by ZB is equal to I divided by Y. Towards the bottom fiber, Y is equal to 500, that's equal to 6.53. Therefore, the decompression moment is equal to this quantity multiplied with the ZB. ZB is equal to I divided by Y into 6.53 is 82.5 kilonewton meter. Therefore, the degree of pre-stress is equal to MDC divided by MW. MDC is 82.5, MW is 750, that is equal to 0.776. So these are the calculations for the, this is the problem for the calculation of the degree of pre-stress, partial pre-stressing index, and pre-stressing ratio. So with this, I am come to the end of this portion. Thank you.